Hello friend, so this is Amit. So just quickly refresh that till now what we understand. So we know that how we can map with the simple mapping, with the collection mapping, and inheritance mapping. We already see the example table per subclass example, table per class mapping, and table per concurrent class mapping. As well as association mapping, we see that one to one mapping, one to many mapping, and many to many mapping. So right now we have a complete package, so we means at least understand about all the mapping features with code, with annotation, as well as the bidirectional as well as the unidirectional. So if we have any kind of object, we will map in the database. So if we have a real-time object in Java, we can store into the database. So till now I am thinking we have that much understanding. So here after that, here I will see that how we will manage the transaction and how we will manage the connection like the driver manager and data source connectivity, how the Hibernate is managing. And after that we can see that transaction like a JDBC transaction and JTA transaction, how both the transaction is handled by the Java, means Hibernate as a ORM tool. So after that we will see that batch update and caching mechanism, as well as we will see that ID generator, how we will generate that ID algorithm and different kind of ID algorithm that provided by Hibernate, as well as we will create a multiple query. Till now we will not work on any query, so we will work on the object oriented query language, OOQL, object oriented query language. We will see that what is SQL, what is QBC, what is QB, and mainly we will focus about SQL. So any complex kind of query like that, anything like find out highest getting salary employee or second highest getting salary employee, we'll see that all kind of different kind of ascending descending order, means all I will try to cover all different kind of the query that we can write easily in the SQL. So when you try to understand means like a MySQL query or Hibernate query, I'm thinking you have to spend a lot of time and you will remember a lot of things. But when we work on the SQL, we don't need to worry about a lot of things. We just think about few words, few tag, and we will assign that, we will directly map our object with that Hibernate query language, that is a object oriented query language. So directly we will map our object to in database. And other thing also we will see that, but till now what we did, we completely focus on our means target. For example, if we try to map many to many mapping, so we'll directly create one core Java project and there we will map it, means inside that class we just write the code and we will just focus on that. But till now we not focused coding standard as well as the design pattern. But whenever we are going to work in real project or when we are going to write a real requirement, we could not write this kind of application in the particular core Java project, and we cannot push all the project, means all the code inside the same packages. So we have to follow some standard, industry standard. So that thing we have to learn today. So I would like to explain that if we going to do some operation, then how means where and what the way we will create some project, through that our project is effective and we can means easily, it's a less maintenance and it will look like a high quality, high standard code. So till now what we learn, all the simple mapping, table map, means inheritance mapping, association mapping, and all thing till now we will learn. We can utilize all concept and we will create one small project through that, utilizing all the coding standard thing, and we will try to understand how much difficult to writing a simple coding and that converting into the coding standard, industry standard coding style, and after that if you would like to change something, then how much different. So I would like to just add one thing. When we are going to create some project and we some kind of product, so that is a 30% of amount spent by company for creating that product, and other 70% amount they are spending to maintenance that project. So just think about that, when company is spending 70% of amount, so they mostly worry about to maintenance itself. So our code, when we will means write that code, so must be the layer wise, very loosely coupled. Loosely coupled means each layer completely separate. Whenever we want to delete that layer, replace with the new technology, we can do. It's not dependent to any layer. For example, I wrote some code, I created one project that now right now it is using a Hibernate. It means HTML as a presentation layer, and I would like to change with the Angular because Angular is very famous now. So I just when want to change it, we should not think about that Java layer, we have to change some code in Java. We just change the HTML code only, or the persistence layer code only, and it will not affect any either the persistence classes, either the Java classes, or any business logic. It will not change, we can directly move it. So this kind of coding standard is called loosely coupled. So it any layer, it's not dependent to other layer. As well as when we will write some code, that should be some specific space. We cannot directly write anywhere like that. We'll create one package and there we will write a session related code, and there we created a session factory and just directly communicate with the database. So if we start to writing this type of code, think about that. I'm a developer and I work some product last 5 years, and after that I means resign that company, I switch over some other company, and new developer join this product. So they have a very difficulty to understand, they face that difficulty because all the code in the same packages, and they don't know which code is related to which situation, and that code is very huge. When they try to debug, he will completely lost his memory. So focusing this thing, I just going to create one very small project kind of thing, and where I try to utilize all the industry standard design patterns and the industry standard product. And this is a very small project also. In later we will convert into the big project, and just try to understand a few things. If you really understand this thing, then it is a very good for your career, because whenever you're going to write a real-time project or real-time programming, you have to follow these things. So this is a very important. So I just here few thing I mention, we will see inside that project also, so no need to worry about that. Just keep in the mind that we are going to utilize that thing. So here the first thing is come DAO, that is a data access object. So we going to utilize that DAO. After that we have some interfaces, through that we can utilize DO concept, as well as see these pictures. So here we have the business layer, that directly not through that business layer. Till now what we are doing, we writing a code and we directly dealing with the databases. So we are not going to deal directly with the databases. Here our client or main method, we will go to the particular factory DO, and through that is a singleton class, means DO always have only one object at a time. So through that DO we will access particular DO like a customer DO, or inside that customer DO some method is there that will be instantiated, that implementation is written itself here. So this is the interface. Through that factory we will get the customer object, customer DO, and after that DO we will call that add customer, delete customer, all the thing it is a mention here. And here that interface implementation is also available there. Through that implementation we will call Hibernate customer DO, that implementation, and through that implementation we will call Hibernate template. In between that Hibernate template will become where we have the exact logic to save the data, add the data, delete the data, or update the data related things. So till now we don't have any database, this 3 layer don't have any database connectivity thing. So till now what we will do, what the data we will get, we will just convert through that different layer, and we will make as it is that database is required, and we'll pass to the Hibernate template class. Inside the Hibernate template class we have method, and that is responsible to take our response, and that will be responsible to create a session, transaction, all thing, and that through that we can store our object inside the database. So this complete information, this complete layer wise we are going to utilize. So this layer we called persistence layer, where our client code is there. Now we are using just a main method as a client. After that we will replace this main method with some HTML code, and through that we can see that how our presentation code will be changed. Now presentation layer, the main class itself playing, and after that this integration layer is there. So inside that integration layer we have a DO factory, DO interfaces, and business logic also, and all thing together it will be go to the persistence layer. Persistence layer or ELS, enterprise information system. Persistence layer or ELS, it is a mutually means of both layer are required for database connectivity. So little bit means difference is there in persistent layer and ELS. ELS means enterprise information system, that database. Actually why that database change here, enterprise information system? Think about the big project where we don't have, think about just a Google that have a lot of information. So the database is not a store in the single places, that multiple database is there in zone wise different. They have a multiple cloud information where they store that data. So means we right now in real time situation we are not dealing a single database application. We have a multiple database application where we can store the data, and between of that load balancer will come, that will be a think about that where our data will store. So load balancer responsible to store data in particular databases. So this type of multiple database system is called ELS. So enterprise information system. So that fourth layer is enterprise information system, and enterprise information system will be connect with persistence layer, and that layer only responsible to do all Hibernate related code. After that in other layers we will not write even single Hibernate related code. We will directly write all the Hibernate related code in the persistence layer. And just think about this layer wise. Now we are not means feeling a good with the Hibernate. We want to change Hibernate with JPA or Top Link or I bet any other ORM tool. So we will just change the persistence layer itself, and we no need to worry about anything. It will be a work absolutely fine. Before of that, just think about that here integration layer. We want to change the integration layer code. So we have the Hibernate template. So we are passing this, and we are interact with the Hibernate template. So between of that, if we want to change any coded, again the persistence layer will not affect. We will directly change the integration layer. And think about the first layer, that is the presentation layer, where we are looking like that. Now we are working with the main method itself. So think about the main method. If we want to change anything, we no need to worry about this thing. We directly change it, and we will get through the factory DO all the singleton object. We will change it. So all the layer here completely loosely coupled, they are not dependent much more in the different layer. So this type of application is real-time application. We will create it. I just quickly want to show you few design pattern that we will required here for creating this type of means application. And if we understand this few design pattern, then it is very good for us as well as for our career, because whenever we going to utilize this concept, it's a real-time concept, and whenever we will write a real-time application, this concept definitely we have to utilize. So first is a factory. So we are going to utilize a factory pattern. I already explained about this factory pattern when we created a Hibernate util, where the configuration related we wrote that code configuration CFG equal to new configuration, or annotation configuration equal to new annotation configuration, and through that public method we are returning the particular object. that same kind of logic we are going to utilize. Little bit changes is here. So I just quickly define theoretically what is a factory method, and we will look into the program also. Deeply we will go into the programming's way. There we can easily understand what is a factory, but here just keep in the mind what is the factory. So factory pattern is one of the most used design pattern in Java. This type of design patterns come under the creational pattern. So whenever we say that design pattern, so design pattern is divided into the a different way, means different part, where creational logic, when we create something, that creational logic we will falls under the creational pattern, and the other is the structure pattern, and other is the behavioral pattern, and like we know the MVC design pattern, that will be come under the J2E design pattern. So different type of design pattern is there. So factory method comes under the creational design pattern, because we are writing a code to creating the object. So we are going to write a particular code, and through that, this factory method, we will create some object. So creational pattern as the pattern provide one of the best way to create an object. In factory pattern, we create object without exposing the creational logic to the client and refer the newly created object using a common interface. So two things come here. Here we don't want to expose our logic, means how we are creating object, because creating an object is a really very expensive code, and we don't want to show that code to the client. We just want to provide an interface and just take this interface and utilize that interface, and through that interface only you can utilize our implementation. So if we want this kind of thing, then it is completely fit. So in factory pattern, we create object without exposing the creational logic to the client and refer to newly created object using a common interface. This is the first thing. As well as we can say that factory method pattern enable us to create an object without exposing to creational logic to the client. At the same thing, means we don't want to expose our creational logic how we are creating a object, and after that common interface, it is one of the most widely used creational pattern, and through that common interface we can provide that information. So this pattern is also known as virtual constructor. So sometime if factory method someone called like a virtual constructor also, so both are the same thing, but we know as a usual name is a factory design pattern only. As a standard definition, if we want to define a factory pattern, we will say that define an interface to creating an object, but let subclass decided which class to be instantiated. So we have concurrent subclasses of the particular implementation, and that subclass will be decided which class will be instantiated. The factory method allow a class to differ instantiation in the subclass. So I already created this project, so I just want to explain about what is a factory. So I have a DU factory here. So what is a DO factory? So I just quickly explain about our project so that we can understand that what exactly we are going to do. So we are going to create one online shopping center, that is a book, where user can register, and user either author either customer. So two kind of user can register in that online application, and author that have some book. So author related to book, but customer can order some book, and order have a address, and order have a order item. So this is the mapping. User maybe a author, maybe a customer. So here one-to-one relationship is there. After that, one author have a multiple book, so one-to-many relationship is there. So one customer can do multiple order, and one order have one address. So and multiple order have a multiple item, and multiple item belong to the multiple order. So here many to many relationship. So we are going to create this type of application where user can come and registered. So register user either the author, either the customer. So if author is there, they can write, they can add some book on that application. If customer is there, then customer come login and they can order some application book. And but when they will order, we would like, means when customer is order some book, we have to deliver that book on the particular address. So must be all the customer registered with the some address. So it and every order have a separate address, not a customer have a separate address, because sometime customer want to book some address in different location, sometime they want to book a different location. So order related to address. So each and every order have a one address. So there one to one relationship is there, and after that one order have a multiple items. So here one to many relationship is there. So just think about this application. We are going to create that same application here. And here just think about, now we are just come back on the factory pattern. So I explain about that factory pattern where we are creating a multiple object and we are returning that object. We don't want to expose our logic to how we are creating an object. We just through the factory method will return it. So here we have this user DO, data access object, book data access object, address data access object, order data access object, and order item. This 5 DAO is here and we are going to create it. So I just created a static because whenever class will load, that time only I would like to create this object, means only one time each class is loading. So we want a singleton, only one time that particular object is created. So because of that I added all the variable as a static, and after that inside the static block I created all the object. So user DO we have just created hibernate user DO, hibernate book DO, hibernate address DO, and hibernate order DO. So this thing user DO is a interface, and where we created that have a implementation, means the particular concurrent classes. Just go to the user first, user DO. So user DO is just an interface where we have a add customer, add author, and get customer by ID and get author by ID. So this user DO interface, and it have particular implementation. So that implementation is written here. User DO implementation is there, hibernate user DAO. So here hibernate DAO, we just implemented user DAO and overwrite all the methods. So like a add customer, we just created this logic. We will not go through that deeply here because we just try to understand factory method first here. So that is the only factory method. So here after that creational this logic, we have one method that is responsible to return that particular object. So public static user DO dot get user DO. So we return this user DO. Other than that, we can write a single method, through that we can return it. Like that we can write public static and we will return object and get some DO. And what we will do here, we will write here some string, some type of DAO, and here what we will do, we will write if condition, if type of DAO dot equal ignore case like a book DO. Then we will return book do. So the same thing we will write here. If it is a order do, then we will return order do. If a string is a order item do, then we will return do, and after that we will call this method get do will pass like a order do, so we will get the particular book do object. We will pass that order do, so we will get the order do. So this is a one other way. Like that, here only one factory method is responsible to write return different type of object itself, and another way is there we can write the multiple methods that is responsible to return the particular object. So here that get user do is responsible to return user do, where user do be instantiated under the static block, because we would like to create a particular object as a singleton, and a static block will be instantiated only once when class is loaded, and after that it will be never comes on the picture. So here we have created user do, so that user do will return the same thing, get book do, return book do, and this one is here. And so all here we will call here, like this is a storing code, and here we will get like that book do factory dot get book do. So do factory get book do is a static, so without creating that object, directly through the class name we will get it. So here we just get it, do factory dot get do factory. So this is a client. Means why we always explain that we don't want expose our logic. So here we don't know that logic how they are creating a book do. We just call do factory dot get do factory, will get that do factory object here. So we no need to worry about this client or this presentation layer. We don't have any information related how that they are creating a get book, means that book do object. The same thing here, order and all. So this is a design pattern, one design pattern that is called a factory design pattern. And now I think you are really able to understand about that factory design pattern. And just quickly explain about one more time. I just give that define about that factory design pattern. I think now after seeing that real-time explanation of that factory, it is a very easy to understand. So factory method pattern enable us to create an object without exposing the creational logic to the client, and refer to the newly created object using a common interface. It is one of the most widely used creational pattern. So this pattern we are going to utilize here, and this pattern is a keep safe our creational logic, and through that interface itself we can utilize. So book do, this is an interface. So here we will store that information calling to the Hibernate do, and we don't know how that they are created that Hibernate address do object, and what inside that Hibernate do object information. So this is an example of factory. The next design pattern is template. So again, what is a template? So we are going to utilize a template itself here. After factory, we are going to explain about template, and we are utilizing a template also here. So template also is a very useful thing, and it will be avoid a code duplication problem. Means like that, before of that you see that the same thing we are writing same code we are writing up multiple places. So that will be a code duplication problem also, and template also solve that problem. Whenever some new user new developer come and they try to write a new logic, and as a senior developer or as an architecture, we don't know that logic is fit for our application or not. So we will provide one template, so no need to write a new developer to new code. They can just utilize that template, and there we have to write a complete effective and very good code standard. We will follow the good code standard and we will write the code. So it is very smooth, means when we will write that project, the lower junior developers or who will join a new on the project, no need to worry about the coding standard. They can directly utilize a template. So where we will utilize a template, and what is exactly the template pattern? In the template pattern, an abstract class expose defined way template to execute its method. Its subclass can override the method implementation as per need basic, but the invocation is to be the same way defined by the abstract class. These patterns come under the behavior pattern because we have some behavior. Basically, just think about that. We have some business logic. We have some main logic. For example, we want to add user, we want to delete user, we want to update user, we want to save user. So this logic, what is the logic of the adding a user? So this is a one template method. So we'll write that add user, and whenever we want to add a user in complete entire project, we just call template.add user. We provide the particular code. I just quickly show that what exactly the template method is doing and how we are writing the template. So here just quickly see that. So we have a util, and under the util I wrote C-net template. So what exactly template is doing, and just see that object. So we have a save object, update object, delete object and load object, and here the main logic I wrote that is responsible to saving object, updating object, deleting object and load the object. Otherwise entire project, whenever we want to add object like that, add user, add book, add author, add customer, we always utilize that only save object. Whenever we want to do any operation, update object like update address, update author, update customer, update book, always we will use only update object. Whenever we want to delete any information like a delete address, delete author, delete book, delete customer, delete order items, we always use delete object. So this is a main logic where we going to write entire application can be utilized that thing, and we have to write if like that architecture, we create that architect and they wrote down this application, and here that business logic is very standard. Just think about that, any junior developer join or any new developer join, they just have to call this application and no need to worry about a coding standard, because our template is written by some senior developer or architect. So code is very good, and always whenever we have to operation, we will utilize that code. And think about that, if this code, if not much more performs, and some junior developer comes or some newly joined developer come and wrote some code that is taking a much more time, or they may have some difficulty to store that object inside the database, then think about that, how much our project, our application that performance is completely decreased. So this kind of saving code duplicacy, saving project performance, as well as saving the time, we will utilize this design pattern where we have to write all main logic that is costly, that is we can utilize in the complete application, and through template we can get that particular logic, and we will call that logic and we will save here. So just think about save object. I created session factory, session util.get session, session dot open session transaction, I create a transaction, and id session dot save, and we will just getting that object here, so just pass save. So transaction dot commit and session dot close. Anytime, just think about that, we already completed many more than 15 project here. We always writing same kind of code. So think about that. Sometime we forget about writing this commit, or we wrote some extra line here and object creation is not correct. So this code may be not perform well. So saving this object, we need only session dot save. We have to pass this object. That is only thing. So here global one method we will write, and we will utilize through the template. Just think about that update object. So update, what we are doing, session dot update. We pass that object. We'll call anywhere object, update object, pass that object, and this method is responsible to update your object in database. Just think about delete object. So we just pass that serializable particular class, which particular ID you want to delete, and through that we will just load session and we just delete. That is a 2-line code in the deleting. And with deleting logic, just think about that, we have to write 100 different kind of deleting logic. Like we want to delete a user, we want to delete a customer, we want to delete a address, we want to delete a book, we don't want to delete items that is created by means added in the card by the customer. So many things we have to delete, but that delete logic is same. Just think about that, if we not utilizing a template, so this kind of code we have to write each and everywhere, and that code duplicacy problems occurs. So avoiding this code duplicacy problem as well as coding standard, improving coding standard, we will utilize a template. And now I am thinking you have a very good picture about template, how we are writing. But first we have to finalize, first we have to think about that what we are going to do here in this application. We are going to perform a 4 operation. That what is a 4 operation? That 4 operation is, we are going to save that object, we are going to update that object, we are going to delete object, we are going to load object. So even this related thing, it's come under the various places, like address adding, author adding, book adding, customer adding, order adding, order item adding. So many things we have to add, but main operation is there, add object. The 4 operation we are going to do, so we have to finalize 4 things we have to write inside the template, and after that we will think about that genuine that will be belong to, that will be work in the all application. Even if you delete item, that's the same code will work. Even if you want to delete customer, then same code will work. That code you have to think about that, and you have to write about inside that. So template is a global thing, it will work for the entire application, and that will be a solve your various problem like a code duplication as well as the performance. So I think right now I am understanding the factory and template. 2 design patterns, we have a very good clear picture, and we can utilize this concept in our application. The next design pattern is transfer object, that we are saying that TO also. That short form is TATO. TO, transfer object. So what is a transfer object? Actually this design pattern we are using for loosely coupling. Loosely coupling means we just want to separate our data with the separate layer. So middle of that layer, if we would like to transfer some object, and maybe if we transfer direct one object to another layer, so both 2 layer is dependent to each other. So for example, we have one customer, so 3 information inside that customer: customer ID, customer name, and customer age. Now we are passing that object in the database, but now what I think, I no need to add that age here. Instead of adding a age, I have to create a mobile number. So new thing, new requirements comes, we will just delete the age and we will store the mobile number instead of age. So think about that, if directly will send that object to particular means template to this object add here. But right now we have a dependency, we want to add mobile, but that a particular object have age. So between of that we will create one customer TO, transfer object, that have age as well as mobile number. So whatever you want, you just store into the TO and you will create one new customer TO, and what thing you want, you just store inside that, and after that object, particular TO object, customer TO object, you pass into the next layer. So between of that, it will be just work as a one new object where sender, it will be take the sender information and it will be make the form of receiver what the receiver want. So whenever you want to change a sender pattern, it will be not affect to the receiver pattern. Middle of that TO will be arrange what exactly we will want. And as a definition, this is just we will see that how we are using a TO here. So if we means ask definition wise, then the transfer object pattern is used when we want to pass data with multiple attribute in one shot from client to server. So here client to server we are passing, between of that we are using a TO object. As it is, we can utilize a TO object anywhere when we want to loosely couple that particular layer. So transfer object is also known as value object. Transfer object is simple POJO classes having getter setter method, and it is serialized so that it can be transferred over the network. It do not have any behavioral server side business class. Normally fetches the data from the databases and fills the POJO and send it to the client or pass it by the value. For the client, transfer object is read only. Client can create its own transfer object and pass it to the server to update value in database. In one shot following, we can say that it will be work mediator between the two layers. So where we are using a TO, like that we have address TO, author TO, book TO, customer TO, order TO, and order item TO, order TO, user TO. So this many attribute if we are going to utilize. So how many models we are going to utilize, we can create that many transfer object also. So we have address, we have author, we have a book, we have a customer, we have order item, we have order, and we have a user, that we see in the picture also. We have a user, author, book, customer, order, address, and order item. So we will create that much TO also. So what is the TO? TO is a very simple POJO classes. So nothing is there, all the attribute we will write down here. Default constructor is there, parameterized constructor is there, and getter and setter method is there. So whenever we want something, like we don't want to set, just set that particular value like address, street, state, and order something TO, and we just delete that city on the particular TO object, and we can work it. So TO is a simple POJO classes that have a getter setter method. We will instantiate it and we will initialize that what the value we are getting. This is just an example. We will get the real time example, like that we are be just sending some parcel in a foreign country. For example, we will get one parcel, big parcel, and we just courier through some courier company like Blue Dot or anything, and we want to send into the USA. So what courier company is doing, they will take that courier, and that courier they will put inside that bike first, or they will put inside that lorry first, and after that lorry we can say that this is a one class structure where our object, our courier, put inside of that. And when that it will be reach inside that Blue Dot office, after that Blue Dot want to send into the different pattern, they want to send into the by buses or by flight. So that our courier will go inside the flight or cargo flight it, and they will cargo flight now just like a different kind of TO object. They deal with here the TO object, and that my object inside that cargo means now their transfer object is getting this courier and sending to some foreign location. So once object, only one object, that is a particular courier, that is a envelope that traveling through the lorry, that is a first object that we created like a address or book classes, and after that that same courier they are putting inside that cargo plane, that is a book TO. So here they took some took our object and transfer into the particular some different kind of object, and middle of that one layer will be created, so it will be keep loosely coupled between a two layer. So right now I'm thinking this transfer object means the concept is clear. Now we will see that DAO, data access object design pattern. So this is also very important design pattern. If we write any code anywhere, we definitely use design means data access object design pattern. Without this DAO pattern, we are not going to write a single application. But definitely if we have some project or they are following some standard coding standard, then definitely use a DAO, data access object pattern. So I just quickly explain about DAO. After that we will see that what is exactly DAO, data access object. So DAO stands for data access object. DAO design pattern is used to separate the data persistent logic in separate layer. In this way, thus here persistence logics comes under the what is the Hibernate logic is there. So Hibernate logic means persistence logic. All the database related logic we will wrote, that is come under the persistence layer. So persistent logic is a separate layer. This way the service remains completely in dark about how the low level operation to access the database is done. So we just store our object in the DAO, data access object don't have any persistence operation, but they will format our object, they will do the operation till now that our exact persistent logic is required. So this is main data access object. I just quickly we will look that code, and through that we can understand what is a DAO. So means when I explain about that inside the code, that is very easy to understand. And means why I explaining that all the design patterns, because now the day without design patterns, if we wrote down any code, that will be a create big issue when maintenance terms comes. So we have to just think about that loosely coupled things and code duplication problem. And means whenever we loosely couple our application and avoid code duplication, we have utilized all the design patterns. So here I just want to explain one more time that what is exactly data access object, and after that we will quickly see that inside code how we are doing with that, means how we are actually achieving this data access object and how we are creating. Once we have to get the knowledge of complete design pattern, we will go through that this application, and we will create this application, and we will see that how we can utilize all knowledge that we will get in the first video itself. And I think once you will understand this project, we can easily create one project, because this is the only concept. Actually I just want to keep very small code here, through that we can understand the big project. So anyhow, this concept, this is a main concept. So once we understand this concept, we can create any kind of project. So now I'm explaining about DAO, data access object. So I just explain as a means going to explain about a theoretical part of data access object, and I will explain after that means how we are utilizing this DAO in our project. So data access object pattern or DAO pattern is used to separate low level data accessing API or operation from high level business services. That is, I already explained about that. It is a layer between our persistence logic and our core business logic. So between of that one layer comes. So data access object, we have one interface. The interface defines the extender operation to the perform model object. Inside that interface, we will write all the method that we are going to utilize, and data of that have one each and every interface have one concurrent implementation, and there we are going to write a concurrent implementation, and after that through that Pojo classes will store that information through the particular DO object. So here we are going to achieve, we have to write first one interface, and after that we have to write that interface implementation of particular concurrent classes. So we quickly see that design pattern. So here I created one package that called com.visualpath.dao, means inside that we are going to write all interface, and after that we are going to write a new package com.visualpath.do.impl. So inside that we are going to write all the concurrent implementation of particular interface. That is also one coding standard when we are writing any DAO that have a separate package, and after that package where we going to write that implementation, that will be come with the same package and with .impl, that is a implementation. So this is a coding standard, don't change anything like that. You will store anywhere that DAO, that any naming come that must end with DAO. So through that we can understand that this packages have DAO, and after that that implementation must be right inside that any name com.visualpath. You can change anything here, you can replace com.visualpath with anything, but after DAO must end with .do, and that implementation will become in the same package name com.visualpath.do.impl. we can write anywhere, it will be not effect in our project, but this is a coding standard that I already explained that some 5 and 6 year engineers who worked on the particular project, he aware about the complete project, so he no need to worry about thing, and he just quit the company and leave that product or project, and newly engineer join that, and they don't know anything where our DO is there, where that implementation is there. But if they follow the coding standard and our code is follow the coding standard, then we must know the package that end with .do, that must have DO related information, and their implementation must have do.impl inside that. So if you use any packages, it will be not effect in coding anything, but it is affect the coding standard, it will affect the maintenance. So must create the package that name start with anything, but it have .do, and as well as that implementation come here .impl. What is DO? DO all are the interface, that method we are going to utilize. So we will create one structure first. That structure, what we are going to do, that operation we will store in the particular interface, and that interface we will not write any other thing, we just write the what we are going to do. So we just going to do, so address DO. So address DO we are going to do 4 operation: add address, update address, delete address, and get address by ID. That 4 method we are going to write. So no implementation, nothing here, this is just the interface, and we are writing this DAO. And how we are adding the implementation of the particular DO, we will write com.visualpath.do.impl, and here we have the implementation. So address DO is there, so we have a Hibernate address DO. You can change one thing here, that either Hibernate address DO also fine, either you can use as it is name what here we will utilize, like Hibernate DAO. You just use this name, Hibernate address DO, and after that IMPL. So this is also coding standard. So this is also fine. Hibernate address DO, this is understanding that it is going to do some Hibernate operation, but it is related to Hibernate only. Sometimes we want to change this application with IBAT, top link JDO, or JPA itself. Then this method is not look like we are doing a actual operation. Think about that. Right now we are dealing with the Hibernate, so it is a look like it's a fine. But think about if we change and we are going to utilize a ORM tool as a JPA, so that time it is a not fit. We don't have a Hibernate and our class name is Hibernate address DO, so it is not look like good. So what you will do, you just change Hibernate address DO class name to exactly same what we have a interface. We'll write same address, and after that IMPL. I start with capital and all, MPL is a small. And what is inside that? Inside we implemented Hibernate address DO, implement address DO. So address DO we are implemented, and after implementing address DO, what happened? Just delete it. I just want to delete it. And yeah, once Hibernate address DO we implement that, so what the method we have to write, we have a clear picture. So because of that only DO will come. Once as I think about the architect, I am architect, so I design that application, and I know that application we are going to do some operation. We have address operation, we have a book operation, we have a order operation, we have a order item operation, we have a order DAO operation. So what I do, I created an address DO and I wrote down that application. So address DO going to do add address, update address, delete address, and get address by ID, and through that we will pass that, means what exact object we will require and how we are, means what the thing we are returning. So as an architect I designed this application. Now think about the developer going to write this application. They don't have anything how they will start it, but they know I have a address DO. That address DO is provided by the architect. So they just what they created that class Hibernate address DO or address DO IMPL. They just implement address DO, and after that they will right click and just click add unimplemented method. So through that it have all the method structure. So now the developer have a clear. So I have to write down here this to do application. Here I need to write our logic. So that picture is very clear. Architect provide that interface. After the developer start to writing the concurrent implementation of the particular method. Think about that. I am a new developer for this get address by ID. I am just writing a 4 or 5 method. First I am taking a ID, and after that I am changing that ID to object, that is a different method. After that we are creating some new object, that is a different method. So after that string to integer conversion I write some different method. After validation I write some different method. So I created multiple method instead of creating a single method. So architect provide that and they bound that. No, you have to write this 4 method only, and that 4 method is responsible to do that operation. So that is a very easy who join the new or who start to writing the code, because most of the time we will start to writing a code, we don't know where we will start. But when we implement that address DO, we have the clear picture that 4 method we are going to write. We just need to write that logic. So after that we just write down that logic, and we have that template, and we'll call that, we will get this application, we will call that particular save object. The template I already explained about that. Inside the template we have a save object, we just call it and we will save it. So our means as a developer task is very easy right now here, because we have all template, we have a Hibernate template, we have address DO, everything is smooth. So because of that only we are using a design pattern, because once you create your project, it's very means easy to understanding the project, as well as when we are maintaining the project, it's really very easy to understand where we have to change. Just think about that. We here in the address Java, we have this 5 field. Now we just want to add new field, because here are some new kind of address comes. So now we are dealing with inside the India only that address, but now I would like to deal with the complete world. So I need to add country information also. So I am a maintenance person, I am not a real developer. So I know if that all application is not as a standard, model is not separate, DO is not separate, factory is not separate, transfer object is not separate. So where we will search it? If it is not follow the coding standard, it is really very difficult who is doing the maintenance, or who is a L3 level support, or other than our developer who actually develop. If some new people is join and they want to extend that functionality, it is very difficult. So now we understand, means it's clear what is a DAO and how we can utilize that DAO, data access object, in our application. So here DAO will call DO factory.get address DO, and here DAO is an interface we will store into the interface itself. So we no need to worry about this thing, just understand this 4 design pattern, and we will see how we will create this application where users can log in. User either author, either customer. If author, they can add multiple book. If customer, they can order multiple book. If they are ordering some book, he have a multiple, he have a address, and per order have address, and one order have a multiple item. We will create this application very easily. So only this thing we have to means understand. Other thing we already understand, so that it's not a big deal. Just think about this 4 design pattern. I already show you that how we can utilize and all. So once you understand this means design pattern, that 4 design pattern, it's very easy to understand that complete application. So I could quickly just define a 2 and 3 lines about that application. Now we went through that code, so I am thinking now it's very easy to understand about the theory. So here factory pattern is one of the most used design pattern in Java. This type of design patterns comes under the creational pattern, as this pattern provide one of the best way to create an object. In factory pattern, we created an object without exposing the creational logic, because we have the interface. Through that we have the through that particular factory method we will get the particular object directly. So creational means how we are creating that object, we no need to expose that logic. In the factory pattern, we creating object without exposing the creational logic to the client, and refer the newly created object using a common interface. So this is a factory. We already utilize a Hibernate util factory in many places. I already explained is many means each and every project itself. So factory is not a new right now, but I already explained about that how we are going to utilize a factory in our this application. Now next is a template. So template is also means I explain about that. So template, here we are going to utilize a Hibernate template where we write down all the persistence logic, means we are going to do the 4 operation. So we'll just add the 4 method, even the different operation like add address, add book, add order, add item, add user, all utilize the same add object method, and we will write a common code for adding different type of object also. So I just quickly go through that means theoretical part of the template pattern. So in template pattern, an abstract class expose define where to execute its method. Its subclass can override the method implementation as per need basis, but invocation is to be the same way of defined by the abstract class. These patterns come under the behavioral pattern. So template, we just explained about that, it will be just a loosely couple and avoiding a code duplication problem. The next is a transfer object. Here I already explained about that. Transfer object we are using for loosely couple in between a 2 layer like a client and server. Just want separation, then we can use a transfer object. So here the theoretical part, the transfer object pattern is used when we want to pass data with the multiple attribute one shot from client to server. Transfer object is also known as value object. Transfer object is a simple Pojo classes having a getter setter method, and it is a serialized so that it can be transferred over the network. It do not have any behavior, means it has just have a particular variable and have a constructor for instantiation, and for initialization it have a parameterized constructor as well as it have a getter setter method. So server side business class normally fetch data from the database and fill the Pojo and send it to the client or pass it by the read only. So client can create its own transfer object and pass it to the server to update value in the database. In one shot we can utilize in many places, and but main thing is that it is a just layer between a 2 different layer. You just want to loosely couple the 2 layer, then we can utilize it. The main thing is DAO, data access object, is that I already see that we have, means when architect want to provide some creational logic, when the when architect want to provide some way how we are going to write a code, they will provide through the interface, and we have to write that interface implementation itself. Developer is responsible to write that implementation, and we can utilize that implementation storing into the particular interface object itself. So whenever DO will utilize, this is a just same kind of thing that we are utilizing a template. What here we are using a interface, and after that we are using a implementation. So DO stand for data access object. DO design pattern is used to separate the data persistent logic in a separate layer. This here we are using a just create, means all operation we are writing that, but after that we are calling a hibernate template dot save dot delete like that. So we don't have a persistent logic. So now we are using this design pattern to use a separate data persistent logic in a separate layer. This way the service remains completely in dark about how the low level operation is accessed, the database is done. This is known as the principle of data access object, and it is a very widely used whenever we will create any project, anything we will create, we must have data access object. So this 4 pattern we are going to utilize here. All thing as it is, means if you see that all code I will show you that how we can easily create this type of application. All other logic, all other code as it is, we already see in the mini project, mini applications. Only 4 thing we are going to utilize here, new thing, that is a factory, template, transfer object and data access. If you understand this 4 application, it is very easy to understanding this complete applications, and just go through that quickly, and I will create this application in the next video. So thanks for watching this video. I'm thinking you have a clear picture about this 4 design pattern, and we are going to utilize this 4 design pattern in our this application, where we have this type of where user can comes, and user may be author and customer, and user can add multiple book inside that any online application like a Flipkart or Amazon kind of thing. And here like a customer can order the books, and per order have a one address added, and one order maybe the multiple books or multiple item is there. So one to many relationship is there, one to one relationship there. One customer can do the multiple orders, so one to many relationship there. So user and one means one user have a multiple customers, so one to many mapping is here. So user have a author, so multiple author can register here, and one author have a multiple book. So we have all different kind of mapping. So once this application is done, we have the very clear picture about the Hibernate. After that, very few concept we have to see that, and we already see that coding standard. So we can, after that, when we have this type of knowledge, we can create any kind of project. So next video we will create this application. I already created, I went through that code and code walkthrough. I will explain about that and how we can create any application using this complete 4 design pattern, and we will make the high level of coding standard. So till now, thanks for watching this video. Just go through that 4 design pattern and keep ready. Next video I will explain, I will create this application.